All right, welcome to a deep dive that I think is going to be super interesting. I know a lot of you have been asking about the future of jobs and what it all means.
Yeah.
So, we're going to be breaking down the World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs Report 2025, which is a pretty hefty report. It's got insights from over 1,000 global employers.
Wow.
Yeah, representing 14.1 million workers across 22 industries and 55 economies. So it's a pretty comprehensive look at the forces that are shaping the future of work and what skills you're going to need to stay competitive.
It's a lot to digest, but I think that's where we come in, right?
Exactly, exactly. So what we're going to do is we're going to break this report down into bite-sized pieces so you can really understand what it all means for you.
Makes sense.
Okay, so the first thing the report does is it identifies 5 macro trends that are going to have a huge impact on the job market by 2030.
Yeah, these are like the big tectonic plates shifting under our feet.
Exactly.
So the first one is that massive wave of technological change.
No.
Think AI, automation, the whole shebang.
Okay, so we're talking about things like AI, right? I mean,
Mhm.
everybody's talking about ChatGPT these days. Is that the kind of tech revolution that the report is predicting?
Absolutely. The rise of AI, especially what we call generative AI, like
Yeah.
ChatGPT, it's a total game changer.
Yeah.
And the report really does like a deep dive into its specific impacts, but it's not the only technological force at play.
Okay, so what else is on the horizon?
Well, the second macro trend is the green transition.
Ah, yes.
It's not just a buzzword. Companies are seriously prioritizing climate change mitigation and adaptation, and that's creating entirely new job categories.
So it's not just about saving the planet, it's about businesses adapting and evolving.
Yeah, exactly. They're realizing that sustainability can actually drive innovation and open up to new markets.
Okay. So sustainability is a major factor. Got
Yeah.
it. What's the next trend we need to have on our radar?
All right, trend number 3 is a bit more complex. This one is called geoeconomic fragmentation.
Ooh, that sounds tense.
It is a bit, yeah. Think of it like this. You know how you've been hearing about all those supply chain issues lately? Well, geoeconomic fragmentation is a big part of that.
Oh, okay.
The world is becoming a little bit more fractured, with trade tensions and political conflicts impacting global supply chains.
So you're saying we're moving away from this idea of a globalized economy?
In some ways, yes. Imagine a world where countries become more focused on doing business within their own regions.
I see.
It could mean that we really have to rethink how we get everything from smartphones to coffee beans.
Wow. Okay.
And it's going to create some pretty significant ripple effects across the job market, especially when it comes to things like cybersecurity.
Okay. I'm starting to see how these trends are all kind of connected. What's next on this crystal ball tour of the future?
All right, macro trend number 4 is economic uncertainty.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, inflation, slower economic growth, these are definitely on everyone's minds.
For sure.
And they directly impact job creation and, unfortunately, job destruction as well.
Okay, that's a bit of a downer. Does the report offer any insights into how to navigate this economic roller coaster?
It does. It highlights the importance of adaptability and resilience.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, being able to roll with the punches and pivot when you need to.
Okay.
But it also suggests that some industries might be more vulnerable than others.
Okay, so choose your career path wisely.
Got it. What's a final macro trend we need to be aware of?
Last but not least, we have demographic shifts,
Oh,
which can create very different challenges depending on where you are.
oh, interesting.
Some regions are experiencing an aging workforce, while others have these booming young populations.
I see.
Imagine a company trying to build a team when half their experienced workers are retiring and the other half are fresh out of college with, totally different skills.
Oh, wow.
It's a talent balancing act.
Wow, I hadn't thought about it that way before. So we've got technology, sustainability, global shifts, economic ups and downs, and a whole generation gap thing happening.
A lot going on.
It sounds like a pretty complex picture. It is. It is. But understanding these 5 macro trends is the first step in preparing for the future.
Okay, so we've got a handle on the forces that are shaping the future, but what about the actual jobs themselves? Are there going to be more jobs in 2030, or are robots going to steal them all?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's where it gets really interesting. The report actually projects a net increase of 78 million jobs globally by 2030.
78 million. That's a lot of jobs. So things are looking pretty optimistic.
Hold on. Don't get complacent just yet.
Yeah.
It's not just about the number of jobs. It's about the types of jobs.
Okay.
We're seeing a major shift in the skills that are going to be needed.
Right. Okay. So imagine there's a top 10 list for the fastest growing and fastest declining jobs.
Okay, I like it.
What would be on those lists?
On the booming side, you'd see AI and machine learning specialists, fintech engineers, software developers, sustainability specialists, renewable energy engineers, and various cybersecurity roles.
Got it.
Think of it like this. In 2030, AI specialists might be the new rock stars.
Haha.
While data entry clerks are struggling to find a gig, that's the kind of change we're talking about.
So learning to code is probably a good idea.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
But what about the jobs that are on the decline?
Think about roles that can be easily automated.
Mhm.
Clerical roles, data entry, bank tellers, administrative assistants.
Right.
Basically, anything where tasks can be broken down into a series of repeatable steps.
Okay, so it's clear that some jobs are hot, others not.
Yeah.
But what about the skills I need to stay competitive in this, like, evolving job market? What does the report say about that?
You might think it's all about technical skills.
Right.
And while those are definitely important, there's a surprise factor.
Hit me with it.
Skills like creative thinking, resilience, flexibility, curiosity, and lifelong learning are also becoming increasingly crucial.
Oh, interesting.
These are the human skills, the ones that are harder to automate. You mentioned creative thinking as a key skill. That makes a lot of sense. But I wonder if some people might find it hard to develop that if they've been in a very structured job for years. How can they break out of that mold?
That's a great point. It's
Yeah.
about shifting your mindset, you know, being open to new ways of thinking.
Right.
It might involve taking on new challenges, pursuing creative hobbies, or even just making a conscious effort to question assumptions.
Okay, so while tech skills are essential, those uniquely human qualities are what will really set people apart.
Precisely. And the report highlights this really striking finding. 39% of workers' core skills will change by 2030.
Wow.
That means almost half of us will need to adapt and learn new things just to keep up.
That's a lot of change to process. I mean, are companies doing anything to help their employees navigate this shift?
They are, and that's what we'll dive into next. All right, listeners, hang tight. We'll be back in a flash to explore what companies are actually doing to prepare for the future of work. Welcome back to the show. We've been exploring the World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs Report 2025, and you've already heard about those 5 massive macro trends that are shaping the job market. We even took a little sneak peek at which jobs are on the rise and which are maybe not so much.
Right, we've covered a lot of ground,
Yeah.
but there's even more to unpack. This report actually goes deeper, offering specific insights for different regions, economies, and even entire industries.
So if you're thinking, okay, that's all interesting, but what does it mean for me specifically? This is where the report gets really useful.
Exactly. For instance, let's say you're interested in Eastern Asia and Oceania.
Okay.
Companies in that region are particularly focused on the challenges of an aging workforce and slower economic growth. Remember those demographic and economic trends we talked about earlier?
Right. Yeah, those were big ones.
Well, they play out in different ways depending on where you are.
Interesting.
In Eastern Asia and Oceania, they're also facing things like organizational cultures that are kind of resistant to change and major talent shortages in certain industries.
Yeah.
It's a unique set of challenges.
Fascinating. What about other regions? Does the report paint a different picture for, say, Africa?
Absolutely. In sub-Saharan Africa, digitalization is a major driving force, but they're also grappling with things like inadequate data infrastructure and a limited understanding of emerging opportunities. It's almost like they're trying to leapfrog into the future without all the building blocks in place.
So each region has its own set of opportunities and hurdles to overcome. I'm starting to see how complex this all is.
Yeah, that's a key takeaway from this report. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to navigating these changes. Each region and economy has its own unique context, and that context will influence which jobs and skills are most in demand.
Okay, so we've got the regional and economic big picture.
Mm-hmm.
But what about different industries? Does the report drill down to that level?
It does, and reveals some pretty fascinating trends. One key finding is that skills gaps are a major barrier across almost all industries.
That seems to be a recurring theme.
It is. But the specific types of skills gaps vary depending on the industry. So the solutions won't be the same for everyone.
Got it.
For example, in manufacturing, there's a huge push toward advanced technologies like automation and robotics.
Okay.
But there aren't enough skilled workers to operate and maintain these systems.
Yeah, so what's the solution?
Companies in the manufacturing sector really need to invest in upskilling their current workforce
Right.
and attracting new talent with the right technical expertise.
Makes sense.
It's a classic case of supply and demand.
Okay, I get that. But let's get even more specific. What's happening in an industry like, say, energy.
Uh-huh.
I mean, they're going through a pretty massive transition right now, right?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
In energy technology and utilities, climate mitigation is a major focus. They're investing heavily in greener technologies, which is leading to an increased demand for roles like environmental engineers and renewable energy engineers. It's actually one of the fastest growing sectors when it comes to job creation.
So the green transition is creating some serious job opportunities in that sector.
Definitely.
What about an industry that's maybe not as obviously tied to technology, like, say, construction or infrastructure?
They're facing their own unique challenges and opportunities. The infrastructure sector is also focused on sustainability, but from a different angle.
Huh.
They're anticipating a need to invest in carbon reduction and climate adaptation within infrastructure projects,
Okay.
which is creating a demand for skills in areas like big data analysis and organizational development.
Wow, I hadn't considered that. So even within a sector like infrastructure, the need for a diverse skill set is apparent.
Exactly. And those are just a few examples. The report provides detailed insights into 22 different industries, from healthcare to finance to education. Each sector is being impacted by these macro trends in different ways.
It's mind-boggling how much information is packed into this report. We've talked about hot jobs, not so hot jobs, the skills you need to stay competitive, and then we kind of zoomed out to look at regional economic and industry-specific insights. It feels like we've been on this whirlwind tour of the future job market.
We have. But in the final part of this deep dive, we'll step back and consider the bigger picture. What are the overarching implications of this report? What does it all mean for you as you think about your career path?
That's the big question, isn't it? We'll be right back to tackle those big picture implications and give you some actionable takeaways so you can navigate the future of work with confidence. All right, we're back for the final part of our deep dive into the future of work, and I'm really excited about this part. We spent the last two segments talking about those massive macro trends, the hot jobs and skills, and what's happening in different regions, economies, and industries. But now I really want to zoom out and look at the bigger picture. What does it all mean for you, the listener?
I think that's the question everyone's asking, right?
Exactly.
And one of the most important takeaways from this report is that while AI is a huge factor, it's not about humans versus machines. It's about how humans and technology will work together.
Yeah, we've kind of touched on this throughout the episode, but I think it's worth emphasizing. The jobs of the future are going to demand both technical expertise and those uniquely human skills. That blend is what's really going to make people stand out.
Right. Think of it this way. Technology can automate tasks, but it can't replicate human creativity, critical thinking, and emotional intelligence. Those are the skills that will be in high demand as we move into this new era of work.
So, for our listener, this means staying curious, embracing lifelong learning, and being willing to adapt to new ways of working. It's almost like we need to become professional learners, always adding new skills to our toolkit.
I love that.
Yeah.
Professional learners, that's a great way to put it. And the report highlights that this isn't just about individual effort. Companies also have a role to play.
You mean in terms of providing training and development opportunities for their employees?
Exactly. The report actually found that a whopping 77% of companies plan to invest in upskilling and reskilling their current workforce.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, they're realizing that investing in their employees' development is essential for staying competitive in this rapidly evolving landscape.
Yeah, I was just thinking about Amazon. They've actually created their own career choice program where they prepay 95% of tuition for employees who want to pursue degrees and certifications in high demand fields. They're betting on their employees' future, which I think is a really smart move.
It is. And it's not just about technical skills either. Many companies are also focusing on developing those essential human skills: communication, collaboration, problem solving, adaptability. We often hear these doom and gloom predictions about robots taking over the world, but this report actually paints a more optimistic picture.
It does, doesn't it? It's not about being replaced by technology. It's about leveraging technology to enhance our capabilities and create new possibilities.
Exactly.
So for our listener who requested this deep dive into the future job market, what's the one most important thing they should take away from all this?
I would say it's this. The future of work is full of possibilities, but it requires us to be proactive, adaptable, and constantly learning. Don't wait for the future to happen to you. Shape it yourself.
I love that. That's a great message to end on. And for our listener, we encourage you to explore the report's industry-specific insights on the World Economic Forum's website. We'll make sure to include that link in the show notes.
It's a really fantastic resource for diving deeper into the trends shaping your particular field of interest.
And remember, the future of work is being shaped right now. So, what skill are you most focused on developing for the future? We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, share your ideas on social media and let's keep this conversation going.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the future of jobs. We hope you found it insightful and maybe even a little inspiring.
Until next time, stay curious, keep learning, and embrace the possibilities.